So we're really appreciative of everyone being here. Parents, as you're standing here, children, media, thanks for being here. Speaker Tillis and Senator Berger will be with us here shortly. But I want to kind of set the occasion for why we're here. And you know, within a lot of words, I think the numbers in a lot of ways speak for themselves. So I want to throw a few numbers out your way. Here's one number: 5,552. 5,552. This is the number of applications that flooded in from across the state for a historic year. No other state in our nation had as many applications in its first year of a program, where we more than doubled the subscription for the Opportunity Scholarship Program. And what's more remarkable about that number is that was all done in 25 days. And that's with a week's stoppage of the program. We had plenty more, thousands more families that were looking to get into, to submit their application. But unfortunately, with the injunction that was ultimately lifted, they weren't able to do so. But again, that's 5,552. Very strong number. Here's another number: 4,046. 4,046. Now, this number represents the number of applications of the 5,052 that came from minority families from across the state. Nearly 75% of the applications that flooded into North Carolina were that of minority families. Now, I say that, you know, because I'm often shocked by the narrative in the news that somehow the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship Program is a right-wing agenda. You know, you look out among us today, if you had a show of hands, and I was to dare ask, how many are you are Democrats or Republicans, you will pretty much have more Democrats raising their hand as they are registered. So I say that not to get political. I say that because when we got to look at the program, the Opportunity Scholarship Program, it's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democratic thing. It's the right thing. And it's the right thing because you have parents who are in desperate need of finding an option that's going to work for their child. Here's another number: 95. 95. 95 counties in the state of North Carolina. We had applications from 95 counties of the 100 that came into the state. Now, the question is, why such demand? It's because our working class families are having major challenges in finding that school that's going to work best for them. Now, in keeping with the number scheme, repeat after me, the number 17. 17. 17% of low-income students passed end-of-grade test scores last year in our traditional public school. Ladies and gentlemen, that means 83% of low-income students failed those tests last year. And is there any wonder why we're here today? In the sweltering heat, few shade, a little bit of shade, a little bottled water coming from across Charlotte, from Asheville, et cetera, to be here today. Now the numbers came flooding in, and in the Opportunity Scholarship, I want to make this point: it's not the only solution. Opportunity Scholarship Program is not the only solution, but it can be a solution for a number of families who are in desperate need of this, who don't want a 17% success rate for their child this upcoming school year. You know, not only did these parents work to apply, as we stated here in terms of the large number of applications that came in, but these parents also put their shoulders to the plow and did what they did in the litigation stage. We have a couple parents that were lead applicants, and we had a number of parents who put their stories to video, showcasing and expressing what the desire was in terms of the Opportunity Scholarship Program. And not only that, today, several of our parents visited more than 30 legislative offices to not only thank members, but to also ask for their support for a special request. And at this time, I would like to bring one of those parents who put their shoulders to the plow, Miss Casey Cooper from Statesville, North Carolina. I wanted her to take a little moment to share her story, a story about her son, Keenan, and why we are here today. Ms. Casey?
Good afternoon, parents, legislators, and media. My name is Casey Cooper, and I am one of the 4,046. And I'm standing here today just to ask and plead for the cap to be lifted from off the Opportunity Scholarship Program. My son, Keenan, is the youngest of my 3 children, and he is in the 7th grade this year. One of the things that I wanted for my son is to have a quality education. And I'm not saying that the public school district is not giving quality education, but what I am saying is if you take time out to go behind the scenes and look at the overcrowding in the classrooms, seeing that one teacher has to take on 28 to 30 students, and my son, he receives IEP, so that's special education. But they have now made it that special ed children are now mainstreamed. And so 80% of his school day is spent in regular classroom setting and only 20% in resource. So when he's in regular classroom setting, he's lost because the teacher cannot give him the time that is needed for him to be able to understand the lessons that are given to him. And so one of my things was to go about looking into homeschooling him, or charter schools, or private schools, speaking to headmasters as well as principals, whomever I need to speak to on the board, to be able to have my son to get into a school, or a setting, should I say, that the classroom size is 12 to 1, or 10 to 1, or there's an assistant teacher in the classroom. Again, I am not putting down the public school system, but I am stressing that I want my child, as well as the other parents that are here, want their child to have a quality education, that their children are not looked at as a number, but as a person. The Opportunity Scholarship Program is so important to my family. It's very important. One of the things that my son wants to do, he wants to design cars. And I know that would deal with a lot of numbers. And he is weak in math. And that's an area that I try my best to, at home, to work with him, as his older brother and sister try to as well. But the thing about it is, as parents, concerned parents, because I'm just one with one story. Each of the parents you see standing here has a story to give about their child, whether it's dealing with overcrowding, whether it's dealing with just bullying in the school, and they just want to move them to a safer setting. It is very important that all of us, each one of our children have quality education so that we can be successful, our children can be successful, that we won't be worried what will happen to our children further on in life. So I'm speaking out to Speaker Tillis as well as President Berger, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, to please lift the cap. Will you please support us in lifting this cap legislative session on the Opportunity Scholarship Program so that each of our children can have a quality education and move forward in this world, because there's a lot of competition out here and we want our kids to be able to compete as well. Thank you so much for your time. God bless.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy. We have a guest speaker here. I want to make sure we're clear here. We had, as you well know, the program has about 2,400 to 2,500 slots available. And obviously, in 25 days, as you heard, we had nearly double that in terms of demand. And so when we talk about lifting cap, we're talking about making sure that these families, at the end of the day, it won't be the luck of a bouncing lottery ball, that it won't be the luck of a lottery ticket. You get it, you don't. Can we look for a way for those families that applied and qualified to also be able, in this first year, the online the application for this program was not faxed in, was not written in or mailed in. It was done online. And so you had families going the extra effort, making sure they had the paperwork in 25 days to get there. And so, that's the heart, and that's the key there we're talking about here, lifting the cap. And And ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a North Carolina effort, but I have a special friend, a mentor here that needs no introduction. He has a twofold life in a lot of ways. He was here, first here in the 60s, Dr. Howard Fuller. Dr. Howard Fuller. And did a lot of work here in the civil rights arena. You all know of him, and real strong history here. But a little note that a lot of folks don't know that he later matriculated up to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee as the public school superintendent of Milwaukee. And it was then that he saw the disparity there, that he saw the challenges for many low-income children, families trying to find an education that's going to work for their child, that after he left his role as superintendent, he later, being who he is, the revolutionary leader that he is, he went on to start and to help start the Milwaukee Opportunity Scholarship Program. It is the first program in our nation. It's nearing 25 years of existence. And so we have in our midst not only someone that brings it on many different levels, but he could be anywhere in this nation today. And I'm just so honored that he come back home to the good old state, Tar Heel state of North Carolina. So at this time, will you please help me welcome Dr. Howard Fuller.
Okay, first of all, it's hot out here. I'm going to be brief. I want to explain to you all why I'm here. I'm here because I believe that our children are the most precious gift from God, and that it is our responsibility, with God's guidance, to love them, to nurture them, to care for them, and to make sure that every single one of them is educated. And the reality is, we should not have an America where only those of us with money have the ability to choose the best educational environment for our children. This is not a criticism of the traditional public school system. It is an assertion that parents who are here ought to have the same rights as teachers who teach in the public school system but would never put their own children in the schools they teach in. You cannot tell people to keep their kids in schools you would never put your own children in and say that that's okay. What we're saying is it is not okay. And that there was a fight in the 60s for one level of social justice. This is a fight in 2014 for another level of social justice. These parents, these kids have a right to be able to choose the best education for their children. And I'm going to end by telling you something very simple. People will say to you, well, you're against public education. No, it's because you're not clear. Public education is an idea. There's a system that delivers public education. They're not the same thing. And since the system wasn't created by God, we can change it. And so what we're talking about doing is changing the delivery system so that you as parents, as kids, as students, that you will find the best place for your kids, because we do know this. If we do not educate our children, there is another public institution waiting for them, and it's called prisons. And we don't want our kids in prison. We want them in schools that will educate them. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
There is no way I can follow that with very much success. My name is Mike Fedua. I have the pleasure of serving as the superintendent of schools for the Roman Catholic Diocese of Raleigh. And on behalf of the 24 schools and the 9,000 students that we serve, it's an honor and a privilege to be here to endorse and support the Opportunity Scholarships. We're here today on the eve of an historic event in North Carolina. In a short time, we'll be engaging in a program that isn't about protecting a bureaucracy or a system or a political platform, as we've heard earlier. It's historic, as the state of North Carolina recognizes in a very concrete way that parents have a right to decide how and where their children will be educated. It's historic in that families who, because of financial limitations, have previously been excluded from this decision And with a concrete right, in a very concrete way, this right will now be exercised. It's taken an awful lot of courage on the part of our legislators for us to get to this point. And today I encourage them to be even more courageous. It should not be left up to the luck of a lottery to determine who will receive this right. The opportunity scholarships are good policy. The legislation that created them is good law. Let's complete the task and fund it in its entirety. I mentioned that it's taken a lot of courage on the part of our legislators to get us to this point today. And we are honored to have with us one of the most courageous, our Speaker of the House, the Honorable Thom Tillis.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief. I see Darrell back here sweating. This man's been sweating for years trying to make this come to pass. And
Take me out of my misery.
I want to thank you all for being here, and I could not frame better what Dr. Fuller said. This is about giving parents an opportunity to put their child in a setting that helps ensure that they realize their hopes and dreams. It's about these kids around the room here. It's about so many other, thousands of other children that deserve the same opportunity. We need you to work hard for us and have your voice heard to make sure that we can have as many children have that choice, have the choice that so many who speak against this have taken to put their kids in private school. We want to give you the same choice. And we need your help. You need to walk these hallways and let people know how important it is to not only fund it for the children that may get through this lottery, and we hate to call it that, but all the children who've applied for it, and thousands more who would like to. I'm not going to speak much more because I want y'all to get off the street and into the building so that you can speak to the legislators, but I do have to thank one man who has been a champion for this cause for years. He's one of the main reasons that we're here, and that's Representative Skip Stam. Skip. He is fighting hard to see what we can do about giving additional resources so we can get all the children in the school, but please keep us in your prayers, keep us in your comments, and do help us join this fight to do what's right for these children. Thank you very much.
How's everyone doing? All right. Well, thank you for being here with us today. It is hot. Yeah, it sure is. Well, just very briefly, I'm Karen Duquette. I'm the Vice President at Parents for Educational Freedom. And it's so encouraging to see so many of you out here on this sweltering hot day. Surely you must be very passionate to be out here in this heat. So we really appreciate y'all being here. Senator Berger, who am I introducing now, has always been a strong champion for our children and school choice. He understands of the importance of parents making decisions for their children when it comes to their education and allowing them to choose what school is best for their needs. He understands that every child is unique and that there is a school for every child, but not every school is for every child. And so I'm so honored to have him here with us today and that he has made this issue a priority of lifting the cap this legislative session. So please help me in welcoming Senate President Phil Berger.
You know, I've got some prepared remarks, but I think the best thing for me to do is just go off the cuff with this because I think just seeing these kids here and realizing that what we've begun in North Carolina in giving these children an opportunity and giving parents the opportunity to make decisions for their kids is really what we ought to be about as far as the General Assembly is concerned. And I am as pleased as I can be to have been a part of beginning this, and I look forward to us having the opportunity and the capacity this year for every child who has signed up for the lottery this year having the opportunity to go to the school of their choice. And so we will work on that, and I just have to echo something that the speaker said. Skip Stam has been just a real champion of this issue, has been someone who has worked on this for years, and he deserves much of the credit for the fact that we've made as much progress as we have. I can tell you that the members of the General Assembly included this provision in last year's budget because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for kids. It's the right thing to do for parents. It's the right thing to do for North Carolina, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Alan McLaughlin, the Senior Administrator of New Life Christian Academy in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And 16 years ago, we began New Life Christian Academy not because of fright or flight, but because we believe that every child had a different temperament, just like every child has a different DNA or fingerprint. And so kids do learn differently, but they learn at a different rate depending on their environment. We believe that public school as well as private schools can and should be a beacon of hope for all students. Education should not be about any one system, but about each individual child. I believe that we should always consider what is best for the students and preparing them for the fullness of life. I would never oppose cutting funding for public education or Department of Education as long as children are in need. By the same token, I believe that those who are in public education arena should support funding of children attending private schools if it's in the best interest of the child. So I think we should shift our attention away from the system and shift our attention onto the students. There should be a partnership of private and public schools working together for the benefit of all school-aged children. And in Fayetteville, we collaborate with the Cumberland County Schools to assist summer school students each and every year. Therefore, I urge the representatives here, regardless of whether you support private school or public school, to continue funding, but I also more especially urge that we lift the cap on opportunity scholarships so that all kids can have the same opportunity to attend the school that fits their temperament. Now I would like to introduce the hardest working politician in Raleigh, one who is willing to take a risk at his own political career, one who's a champion of young people, a fellow veteran, one who supports health care and the environment, my senator from the 21st District, Senator Ben Clark.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. As Dr. McLaughlin mentioned, I am Senator Ben Clark from the 21st Senatorial District representing Cumberland and Hope counties. And I am proud indeed to be here with you all, and I'm proud to be here with Dr. McLaughlin. The New Life Christian Academy that he has founded and is the president of epitomizes the essence of how the Opportunity Scholarship Grant can be used positively to impact the life of a child. We all know that there are circumstances in which an academic learning environment may not be the best fit to maximize the child's true learning potential. And as a result, that child might fall short of the potential that he or she might otherwise achieve given the opportunity to learn in a more suitable environment. Unfortunately, such a situation in which that child remains in a learning environment that is not optimized for his or her needs is far more likely to occur in the home of a low-income family than in the home of a family with more substantial means. With the Opportunity Scholarship Grant, parents of low-income households may seek tailored educational opportunities for their children who may have difficulty adapting or learning in the more traditional and prevalent settings in which formal academic instruction is typically provided in our society. Such tailored educational opportunities are offered at schools such as New Life Christian Academy and other similar institutions. So for the parents of low-income households who happen to have a need to explore and avail yourselves of optional venues for achieving academic success for your child, I support the Opportunity Scholarship Grant on your behalf, and I stand with you.
Study after study has demonstrated the effectiveness and quality of a private school education. When parents are given their rightful place of choosing their own school for their own children, parent satisfaction is overwhelmingly positive. It is no secret that most low-income families simply do not have that option or the means of choosing a private, or in this case, a religious education for their children. With the passage of the Opportunity Scholarship Program, low-income families now have the same option of a private school for their children as any other family, regardless of their income. To boil down the reality of this wonderful Opportunity Scholarship Program, a school like Wesleyan Christian Academy that I represent in High Point, if a family enrolls in our school with the Opportunity Scholarship, they would automatically qualify for tuition assistance at Wesleyan. So with the Opportunity Scholarship Program and our tuition assistance, families can enroll their children for just a few dollars a day, and in some cases less than that, for their own families. This is why we are excited at Wesleyan, and speaking on behalf of many of the Christian schools and private schools in the Triad, we are excited about this Opportunity Scholarship Program. It is now my privilege to introduce State Representative Marcus Brandon, who is not only a strong supporter of the Opportunity Scholarship Program, but is also one of 2 Democrats who co-sponsored this measure. As a High Point resident myself, and as the head of the largest private school in the Triad, we cannot ask for a stronger supporter for this bill. It is my honor to introduce State Representative Marcus Brandon now.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I've got my comrade that I was going to bring up here with me, Representative Bryan, because we're both the sponsors of this bill, and we both went through a lot of stuff to get here. But I will let you know that I came to this position, I didn't come to the North Carolina House, and I did not think when I ran for office that I would be even talking about this issue. But I moved into the poorest zip code in all of this state. And when I was knocking on doors and I was trying to figure out what was going on, I realized that the single biggest problem that I had in my district is that over half of my kids were not graduating for high school, and that directly led them to prison. And so they would be like, Representative Brandon, how can you help me get a job? Well, we all know that if you don't have a diploma and you have a felony, you have 0% chance of making it. So I appreciate you. Please continue to tell your story, because this this is a cancer in our community, and people are literally dying because of it. And I will fight to the end of my days to make sure that we have the same access as any other child. The kids in my community, you parents, we deserve the same opportunities as any other parent. We love our kids just as much. I'd love to hear the story of the lady from Statesville who knows what her child wants to design cars. He should be able to design cars. He should not have to go to prison or should have to go through any other alternative means. He should design cars. He's smart enough. I was put in learning disabled and when I was in 7th grade. Then I won the spelling bee, and they decided I was not learning disabled. But I can tell you firsthand what it means if you don't have. I had 2 strong parents that was going to make sure I was going to pass no matter what. But I can let you know that I spent many years doubting myself and who I was. So please continue to tell your stories. Tell your kids that they're wonderful people, that your reality is not your destiny. Through God, we can do anything. And so I appreciate you being out here. Keep telling the story. Keep telling your story. Tell it to the legislators. Tell it to your teachers. Tell it to anybody you can tell. Let them know that this is a justice issue. I am not a statistic, but I matter. Thank you for being here.
I really just want to thank Marcus again, and frankly Darrell as well. But for me and Marcus, it was really a great bipartisan issue to work on together. And I think it goes as a testimony when we work together and sit down and have conversations about what is the best thing for parents and kids. We can reach some consensus and we can make great decisions together. And I just want you to know we stand for all of you parents and your kids, and giving you the opportunity to make the very best decision for your kids, which is what each of us want, and for them to be successful. So thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this portion here. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll continue with the fight here. Media, thanks so much for being here.